Okay, so we're back to doing the recap for the MelCon that I hosted earlier this month because we're finally allowed to have gatherings in the house again, and I'm taking full advantage of it. So it was a 3-day event, and this is the recap that I'm going to be doing for day 2. Here's a quick picture of people at the event. I had 3 tables set up in my living room dining area, and it was a blast. It was great. So, yes, recap for day 2. So we started the day fairly early on when the first person showed up, and then we played Watergate, which is a 2-player game. This one is a really neat one. It's a tug-of-war game. So one person plays as the Nixon administrator, and the other one plays as the journalist that were trying to expose the scandal behind the Watergate scandals and the Nixon things that was going on with Nixon. Great game, so neat. You play cards, so you draw depending on who has kind of control and goes first. One person plays 5 cards, one person plays 4 cards, and you play cards kind of moving evidence towards you, trying to move controls towards you. The person who plays as Nixon needs to stay in power for and gain 5 red tokens that shows they've remained in office. And the person playing as a journalist needs to obtain some evidence and create a link between Nixon and one of the whistleblowers. Very kind of so thematic, honestly, once you kind of understand what the whole scandal is about. This is a great game. So that was the first one that we played that day. Then we played Unlock Exotic Adventures. And this one was the Expedition Challenger. My friend had never played any Unlock or Exit games, so we decided to do this one so he got to get the feel of it. In this particular one, this expedition kind of figured time travel, and they had traveled back in time and were stuck and needed help. And our mission was to go and bring the one guy back, but we're trying to save the whole expedition. We didn't. We pretty much killed everybody except for that one guy. So we got 2 out of 5 stars. If you've played this one, let me know how you scored. We did not that great. This one was really interesting though, because all the Unlock games plays a little bit different. And with this one is at one point you build a map and you have to move around in the map and do different things. So, and if you want to interact with a certain item, well, you have to be at the right site. So you had to kind of move back. So that was interesting and a different element that I hadn't seen in an Unlock game yet. And then we played The Crew. So The Crew is a trick-taking game, but it's a cooperative trick-taking game where at the beginning of the round, you kind of allocate on the mission of what you need, who needs to win what tricks. And you kind of point out, like kind of decide who that's going to be to begin with, and then you play the game trying to make sure that they do. It was neat. Definitely want to play this one a little bit more. We just played a few missions. We were not doing that great, but it was our first time trying, so I'll have to play this again. And then I played Viticulture. Now, I've heard lots about Viticulture and just had never played it myself. So we did a full a game of it, and we were, 5 people playing? And it was great. So this is a worker placement that's divided into 2 seasons mainly, so the summer and the winter. And you have your workers. And what's interesting is you can do all these actions in the summertime, but you want to try to save some of your workers to do some winter actions as well. And the whole point of the game is you're acquiring vines so that you can grow grapes and then move the grapes into I guess the big bins where you're going to transform them into wine. And so you're creating all this wine, but then you've got some orders to sell the wine, and that's what's going to give you the points. And it was a very neat, interesting game. It was a tight game as well. I think we had to go to a tiebreaker to kind of determine who the winner was, which I wasn't involved in. I was not up there. I think I was probably ended up 3rd or 4th, but neat game. I did end up going out and buying my own copy after playing this one. So here's some more copies. This is the player board, so everybody gets their own player board, and then you get the big map there where everybody plays on as well. neat game. I'm glad I bought it. Just got to play my own copy now. And then I played Isle of Cats. Isle of Cat is neat. It's a polynomial game, so you have all these different pieces that you're trying to add onto your boat to take these cats and save them. And you score if you can put similar cat together, because there's a bunch of different cat families, basically the color of the cat. So you're trying to connect so that all the purple cats are touching each other. You're also trying to cover certain areas of the boat that will give you extra points that way as well. And there's a card drafting element at the beginning that'll determine, based on the cards that you've kept, what you can do during that round and acquiring cats. Because you bring the cats in by luring them in baskets. So you got to get the baskets, and then you got to get the fish to help lure them in as well, and so on. It's an interesting game. One thing I would say that is, it's a table hog. Like, you get all of this set up, and then everybody has their own board, and then you have all these cat tiles that gets brought out every time, and then you get these treasure tiles that gets brought out as well, and you just have tiles all over the table. It's quite cluttered looking. I wonder if there's a better way of kind of organizing the whole thing, and I didn't think that was an issue for me, but apparently it is. It was so cluttered and all over the place, but it was a neat game. The gameplay was cool. I know my sister ended up playing with us on that one, and that was a big hit for her. And I was just so on it. Here's a close-up of my board, and that was some of the cats. And then there's some cats that you can get that you can assign which color they're going to be, and they're kind of like bigger and odder shape tiles, but it was definitely a neat game, and I've enjoyed playing it. And then we ended the day with a game of Sagrada. Sagrada is a great puzzling game. You roll the dice, and then you draft the dice, kind of put them in your board. We were playing with an expansion that added extra players, and it also added so that one is drafted from the pool, and then you have a disc where that has different dice as well that you would take one from also. And they just kind of give you a bit more option that you could pick from. The one thing I think the biggest issue I have with Sagrada is there is always somebody who's going to be putting dice on their board without realizing that they're breaking the rules, and then have to kind of figure out how to undo it later on. Because when you place your dice, you cannot have dice of the same color next to each other, and you cannot have dice of the same number pip, like, so if it's two dice that'll roll on 6, you can't have a 6 next to another 6. And that's the only rule. Everything else, you're trying to create different patterns so that you can score the highest, but it's just there's always someone who's kind of or next round will be like, oh no, wait, this didn't work out. So then they have to undo the turn, and but otherwise this is a neat puzzly game. It's definitely unique. I haven't come across anything that kind of is like where you're trying to, it's Sudoku almost, right? Like, it's kind of a game of dice Sudoku. Great game. So then that was it for my day 2 of MelCon. Now, if you want to follow me, join Didsbury and Area is playing all the game on Facebook, as well on Instagram. I'm boardgame_mama, and on Facebook, my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Board Game Mama. So keep an eye out for the recap of the final day of MelCon. I'll be doing that in the next few days. Bye, everybody.